subscribe.
It's crazy to think that such a cinematic game like Metal Gear Solid is still so much fun despite being limited to the PlayStation. What makes it stand out on this front is that it's not so much about the graphics as it is about the performances. Regardless of how over the top the acting can be at times, it's still genuinely pretty good. It also has good cinematography in its cutscenes. Animations can be stiff and the graphics are, well, PlayStation, but because everything else is done so well, those would-be problems end up becoming part of the charm. The music is also nothing to scoff at. It's good stuff, perhaps not as video gamey as most others, but that isn't what it's going for. I hope you've noticed by now that I've been talking about Metal Gear Solid as if it's a movie, and that's because it really feels like it wants to be. But this doesn't mean the gameplay is bad either. Every room in this game feels like a small sandbox puzzle. Those foot soldiers become massive problems at points because you know what'll happen if they spot you. It makes every successful pass something to celebrate. The game also does several other things to fully immerse you, like the famous codec number on the back of the box, or switching ports to confuse a boss. It's a neat gimmick, but it also really ties you into the plot. You have to scavenge for solutions like Snake would have to. Now, I could gush about this game for much longer, but there are some real problems with it that I should mention. For one, there's the backtracking. It's unfortunate, but it breaks up the pace and can feel like a chore. I'd also like to tie in some of the other challenges they have in this game, like the Nikita room and the laser section in the beginning of the game. I admit they can be complementary towards that underdog secret agent feeling they're going for, but it can also feel like a roadblock in terms of pacing. Lastly, if you don't like a lot of cutscenes and dialogue, then this isn't the game for you. Let this be a warning for the rest of the series as well.
8 out of 10!
Oh, Rayman. You ask too much of me. Apparently this is how Rayman started, as a slow, grueling 2D platformer. It's pretty, I'll give it that. The music is also quite nice as well. I can't deny that this game has style. I'm not trying to say it's poorly made either, it just does not mesh well with me at all. The one thing that holds it back for me is how slow it is. It makes every problem worse in my experience. Punishing design? Okay, but when I die I have to watch as Rayman meanders through the level to get back to where I was. It is such a pain, and it's unfortunate. It's hard for me to find much else to say. I think I made it through the first 2 worlds before I gave up. The worst part is it wasn't out of frustration, it was out of boredom. That's how uninterested I was. It's a shame because, like I said before, this isn't necessarily a bad game, it just feels monotonous. What else can I really say?
5 out of 10!
I told myself when I picked up my PlayStation 1 that I would have to try an original Tomb Raider game. I mean, Lara Croft is a gaming icon. The Tomb Raider games were innovators in their space. They helped invent 3D action, setting the groundwork for future games of its kind. Well, the one I happened to come by was Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation. I didn't know which one it was in the series, whether it was a good one or not, I was going in blind. Let me tell you, this one was an absolute non-starter for me. The controls, oh man, the controls. Props to Tomb Raider for being one of the first, but we have done so much better since. Every single action was a struggle, and I am not joking. It was like learning a new language. The movement was also very stiff. I couldn't make one jump without holding my breath. When I booted up the game and struggled to get through the intro sequence, at the end I asked myself, do I want to play a whole game of this? And I already knew the answer.
2 out of 10!
Merry Christmas.